Hello and welcome back to Typical City, the Premier League's top two goal scorers going blow for blow, head to head, locking horns at Villa Park. Manchester City with 36 goals to their name, Villa with 33. It's going to be a goal fest, an incoming goal fest, surely, in particular for the fact that City have drawn 4-4 and 3-3 and 3-2 beating RB Leipzig. We've been shipping goals, we've been scoring goals. The same can be said with Villa, who were on a four-game winning streak. Four-game winning streak they were on prior to last weekend, and then they go and draw 2-2 to Bournemouth, and it took a 90th minute equaliser from Ollie Watkins to scrape a point away to the Cherries. So it's going to be a massive game of football for both teams. So much at stake, so much jeopardy involving this game. City lose, we could go fourth, and Villa go third. Unbelievable. Who would have seen that this early into the season? That's unbelievable. Villa lose, they could slip down to sixth, depending on other results, of course, but still so much at stake. So much at stake. Villa Park has been a horrible place for me personally to go. I don't always have the greatest memories when I do go there. Thankfully, I won't be. This time I'm going to be sat right here doing a watch along, so come and join me for that. It's going to be a good one. Really looking forward to the game. But Villa Park on the whole has become a fortress. They've won 17 out of their last 18 home games, which, I mean, you're starting to look like a Manchester City home form. You know, our form at home, we have those sort of figures. Villa are becoming a genuine outfit under Unai Emery to take them very, very seriously. But they have failed in their last 13 Premier League attempts to beat Manchester City. So historically, form against Manchester City, it means nothing. Let's be honest, it means nothing. Going into the form of this season in particular, it means nothing. But if you believe in those sort of things and those sort of superstitions, then history is very much on Manchester City's side in this particular fixture. I'm going to go straight into the Villa team news because Bertrand Traore, Buendia and Tyrone Mings are all still out. The massive news for Villa is Boubacar Kamara is back from suspension. That's huge. Youri Tielemans has been stepping instead in his absence, playing alongside Douglas Luiz against Bournemouth. I think that suits that situation. The technicality of Youri Tielemans is needed against the type of opposition like Bournemouth. It didn't work because they only drew the game in the end, but Kamara coming back gives them that solidity alongside Douglas Luiz, who I think City should be keeping a close eye on. Former City man as well, come through at least spent a small amount of time at Manchester City. We should be looking at getting him back potentially because I think Douglas Luiz looks like an unbelievable player and he keeps going from strength to strength. You put Kamara alongside him and that solidity in midfield is going to be really, really difficult for City to penetrate. It's going to be a hard prospect, a really hard prospect for Manchester City. In terms of our team news, we've got problems. We have problems, unfortunately. Rodri and Jack Grealish are both suspended. That's a massive blow. We've all seen the 3 games without Rodri, we didn't win a game. So it's a problem. No Rodri in that midfield. It is a problem. What are we going to do? I think that's where the attention of Villa's going to be, in exposing that gap that Rodri's leaving behind, that Rodri-shaped hole that's left behind that no one can fill in this Manchester City side. There are talks of Calvin Phillips. Pep was pressed as to whether Calvin Phillips would start the game. I can't see it. He did speak highly of Calvin Phillips, which was really nice of Pep to do that. I think it was just a courtesy, a bit of common courtesy, a nice gesture to say he trains really well and I like Calvin Phillips. But I think deep down, I don't think he trusts him. I don't think he trusts Calvin Phillips. He's had so many opportunities to play Calvin Phillips. Even when Rodri was suspended for the 3 games that he was suspended, he barely got a sniff. He comes on as a substitute at best. You know, I can't see it. In terms of injury news, John Stones should be okay, fully fit to start. I'm hoping he can be the man to do that job I was just talking about. It's not an ideal replacement, John Stones, for Rodri, but I think it's the best we've got. And I think John Stones can do that job to more than a good effect. Núñez is facing a late fitness check. That's the reports, at least, with Matheus Núñez. Would he be getting in the starting 11 anyway? I'm not too sure, but I certainly want to see him on the bench as an option to bring on because we haven't seen him yet. Do not sleep on Matheus Núñez, City fans, because I think there's a player in there and I'm yet to be proven one way or the other because we haven't seen it. We have not seen Núñez play football properly. Certainly not for 3 or 4 games in a row in a Manchester City shirt. We need to see that. We need to see more minutes without gaps, a real run in the team for Manchester City to get an idea of what Núñez is all about. And obviously Kevin De Bruyne is the only other absentee, with it being such a long-term injury. Doku was a doubt as well. That was the reports after the Spurs game, because he came off with a very minor injury. He's trained. I doubt he's not going to play. I doubt he's seriously injured. The way Pep was talking, the fact that he said he's trained and he was with the first team as normal, I think he's okay. I think Doku's going to be okay. What Villa do, though, is going to be really interesting, because Unai Emery changes his formations a lot this season. He's mostly gone with a very traditional 4-4-2, and that 4-4-2 has tended to be without the ball, it's 4-4-2. With the ball, it becomes a 4-2-4, with the wingers pushing up. It's been either John McGinn or who else has been the other side of him? Leon Bailey potentially as well. It has been on the right-hand side. Diaby's played a little bit on the wings, but he's been part of a partnership up top with Ollie Watkins, which I think is something City really need to worry about. Their speed on the counter-attack frightens the life out of me. But it's not always been 4-4-2 for Unai Emery. It's been 4-2-2-2 at times, which is similar to that formation we've gone up against with RB Leipzig. Very, very narrow. They could definitely employ that. City with their width, will they go that route? I'm not too sure, because it will give Doku the freedom of the pitch. If Jeremy Doku plays this game, do they want to go for a narrow approach, Villa, and allow Bernardo Silva to hug the touchlines, and Jeremy Doku in particular? You don't want to give those types of players that amount of freedom on the pitch, so I can't see them doing that. They have gone with 4-2-3-1 on the odd occasion as well, but I think they're going to go with 4-4-2. So anyway, let's have a look at my predicted starting 11 for Aston Villa. Martinez in goal, the biggest wind-up merchant walking the face of the earth right now. What a joker this guy is, man. He's such a good keeper. I think he's a really good keeper, but he loves winding you up, doesn't he? In that penalty shootout in the World Cup for Argentina, and he was pretending the World Cup trophy was his knob. I mean, this guy's off his tits. Off his tits. Entertaining and incredibly infuriating if you're playing against him. Time wasting, all the dirty tricks in the book. He loves it. He loves it. Anyway, hopefully we can put a few in the back of his net to shut him up. That'll be enjoyable. Matty Cash, who I think is a very underrated player. I think he's likely to be playing at right back. In the middle, with the absence of Tyrone Mings, Pau Torres, who scored against Spurs the other day. He's starting to look a player, him. He got off to a terrible debut. I remember his debut for Villa was awful. Since then, he's looked all right. He's definitely improved since then. Alongside them is going to be Concert as his partner in centre-backing crime, if there is such a thing. I don't know the words that are coming out of my mouth, but they just came out and they made no sense. Lucas Digne is going to be at left-back, most likely, and then it starts to question, are you going to go for Youri Tielemans in midfield, or are you going to go for Boubacar Kamara? Personally, I think they're going to go for the strength of Kamara. Youri Tielemans definitely offers more versatility, more of a box-to-box type player. His ability to carry the ball, his technicality, he's better than Kamara, but Kamara's ability to break up a midfield and break up any opposition fluidity is kind of the perfect player to play against Manchester City. And you accompany that and complement that with the addition of Douglas Luiz alongside Kamara, then I think that's their best option. So I do think this is the two that will be in the middle of the pitch for Aston Villa. Out left, John McGinn, who's been absolutely unbelievable this season. He's been brilliant for them. So good, John McGinn. I mean, I thought he was a decent player, but he's turned himself into like a bordering on like Champions League quality standard of player. Do you know what I mean? Like really, like not Europa League, not Europa Conference. He looks immense. He's been so good, John McGinn, for them this season. He really has. I'm going to go with Leon Bailey on the right. I think there were question marks over who could start on the right. You could start Diaby up top, as well as Zaniolo as well. He could also play on the right. I do think with the fact that Leon Bailey scored the speed that Leon Bailey's got, I think they're going to want to use speed in this game. And the fact that he's got a goal to his name, having scored against Bournemouth at the weekend, I do think Leon Bailey is probably the likeliest option from a speed perspective. Counter-attacking is our kryptonite, isn't it, as Manchester City? It's our weak spot, isn't it? And if you can add speed to the opposition's team, then that's their best bet. Up top, another speedster is Diaby. If I can find him, I can't seem to find him. Where's he gone? There he is. Diaby up top, and then arguably, like, he's competing with Erling Haaland at the minute, isn't he? Ollie Watkins, another player, Aston Villa player that's just been absolutely sensational. I think in attack, that's going to look more like that, to be honest. When they attack, that's probably what we're going to go up against. Defensively, though, you've got the assurances of John McGinn, whose tenacity is perfect to get back and forth on that wing and offer Lucas Digne a bit of protection. Maybe not quite as good at doing that same job, Leon Bailey, but still, he's got the mobility to get back and forth, no problem. Manchester City, we're going to go with Edison in goal, no doubt. And what we do at the back is going to be interesting, in particular because we have this hybrid role, don't we, of a defender popping in and out of defensive midfield. Who that's going to be, I'm not entirely sure. I think he might rest Ruben Diaz for this game. I think Nathan Ake is going to be our left centre-back. I'm going to go with Manuel Akanji in the middle of the three. Alongside him, I'm going to go for Kyle Walker. And I'm hoping, this is a little bit more hopeful than predicted. In truth, I am swinging more towards what I want to see rather than what I think we'll see. And if you want to go purely on hope, I hope Rico Lewis starts in the middle. I hope that. I'm not sure he will, though, so I've contradicted myself there a little bit. I'm going to go with what I think Pep will do. This is what I think Pep will do, not what I hope he does. Let's go with that. I want Rico Lewis to start in the middle in defensive midfield. Will he trust his physicality? He does get bullied on the ball, Rico Lewis, a lot. Strength is one of his weak spots, and probably one of his only weak spots, because I think Rico Lewis has been absolutely sensational for City. Every time we've seen him this season, he's been brilliant. And I would like to see him utilised a lot more. I think Pep sees him more of an out-and-out central midfielder, potentially more of an attacking midfielder, a bit more of an 8 or maybe a number 10, potentially. Playing as a number 6, not entirely convinced, which is why I think he's going to go with Kovacic. It doesn't fill me with confidence because Kovacic hasn't really been hitting the heights so far. He got off to a good start in those first 6 games of the season, but since then his form's dipped. He's been injured, he's been in and out of the team, he's not been getting picked. So with Rodri's absence, I have gone with Kovacic, but playing alongside him makes me feel a little bit more confidence would be John Stones in front of the back line. Then that will therefore be John Stones popping in and out of defence, which, again, I'm happy with that. In front of them, I'm going to go with Julian Alvarez, and if anyone who watched my What is Wrong with Manchester City video can go and check that out, by the way, because that might ease your nerves going into this game. And going forward for the rest of the season, if you want some confidence, go and watch that video, because a lot of the figures that I provided in that video would highlighted how little there is to actually worry about. And City are doing all right. We're doing all right. There is nothing to worry about as Manchester City fans. In front of them, I'm still going to go with Julian Alvarez and Bernardo Silva alongside Julian Alvarez in the middle of the park. Going to go with Phil Foden on the right and Jeremy Doku on the left. Matty Cash and Leon Bailey have got that job to do. And then Erling Haaland up top. And that completes the starting 11 for Manchester City as well as Aston Villa. That's my predicted starting 11s for both sides. I think it's going to be an incredible game. I heard what Big Steve was saying. I can't remember where he was saying it or what channel he was saying it on, but I heard him say it and I couldn't agree more with what he said, that we're going to have a siege mentality. That's the words he used. Us against the world, in other words, and we're used to it as City fans. When it feels like this, I feel like we rallied together. We use that as momentum. We use it as rocket fuel to spark us into action and to getting onto a winning streak that we know we're familiar with and more than capable of doing. And this is the perfect game to do this. This is arguably City's hardest remaining fixture of the calendar year of 2023, because after this we've got not easy fixtures, but easier fixtures, considering we've just faced Chelsea and Liverpool and Spurs and now Villa away, thrown into that. 4 horrible fixtures, and we're still third in the Premier League. We could look fourth at the end of this, though, couldn't we? Maybe not. We could get top spot back, depending on fixtures go well. Who knows? That's how quick things can change in football. So stop being so fickle, City fans. We can turn this round in an instant, and I have a good feeling about this game. I do have a good feeling about this game. I think we're going to win 3-1. I'm going to go for a 3-1 City win, but get your predictions in the comment sections below. I really want to hear them. Please do drop a like on the video. It really does help. I'm also doing memberships now for anyone who wants to support the channel. I've thrown in some memberships there for anyone who really likes to support the channel. There are 2 tiers to go through. You get some lovely little Pep Guardiola, Erling Haaland and Jeremy Doku and Kevin De Bruyne self-made emojis for you to use in the chat for the live stream watch-alongs and the match reactions and things like that. So if you want to be a member, please do support the channel. It would really help. Don't go into it though. Make sure you sort yourselves out first. Christmas is coming. Make sure you've bought all your family Christmas presents first before you start thinking about supporting me. But if you've got a bit of spare change and you do want to help support Typical City grow and become a bigger and better channel, then by all means your donations and support would be more than welcome and very much appreciated. Please do drop a like on the video as well. It really helps, and get those comments in. Typical City is the channel, and I'll see you in the next one.
This is Typical City now, holding up silver.